against my buttocks. At no point do I consent to this, and I am very uncomfortable. I was very uncomfortable with the barrage of things he's asking me to perform with him after telling him I'm a gay female. After multiple attempts to put my hand on his penis, I get up and say I have to pee, and immediately start to get dressed and make assertions that I have to be leaving soon. I had no intention of being in a business meeting with this man after the shock and humiliation I felt at the time. I tell him I'm leaving and proceed to go to the bathroom, where I stay there for as long as I can and wash my hands and everything as good as I could. My mind was racing, and I made a plan to get away from this man regardless of any business meeting. I was violated against my will by a man who exploited my situation and tried to entrap me in a compromising situation, due to my future contract with the ministry. I exited the bathroom, and Dharamlall is not pleased that I want to leave, but I was now fully clothed with my bag and phone ready to go, so he gets stressed. I see him reach over and retrieve a Glock from under the pillow, and he forced me to lay on. And as he did the deed. I scoffed at this because I knew he carried a firearm but did not know that it was under the pillow. I didn't wait for him to lead me out, but started to walk downstairs and outside. I'm escorted to the front door where he stays and remarks that he wants me to lend him my car next time he comes to his pillow. I'm appalled at this man and start my car to exit the premises. The security hut at the Regina State House had 2 guards who saw me come and go, and they did not respond to me when I greeted them. At this point, I wondered, did they know that Dharamlall just had sex with me? Did they suspect? I go home and arrive there minutes before 11. I had no intention of letting my family know, and I showered as soon as I entered the house, trying not to draw any suspicion, but my family members were asleep. I was in shock and denial that Dharamlall, my future employer, raped me. To my further disgust, he sends a WhatsApp message to shower, and I replied angrily and rhetorically that I did. He said that he doesn't want to shower and that he won't. I was flabbergasted at how disgusting Dharamlall is. My second physical encounter with him was an ambush very similar to the first time. This incident, however, occurred in 2021 before May, when I was in contact with the Ministry of Local Government about non-payment of my contract, as well as a broken promise of a renewed contract for that year. I worked under the ministry for 2 months, starting in November. This was about a month after the rape, and Dharamlall pretended that he did not know me and threatened to fire me on one occasion because I refused to do unethical things regarding a project that I oversaw at the ministry. I was the witness to embezzlement, and I was expected to be a puppet. Via WhatsApp, Dharamlall offered to talk about my grievances in public over a business dinner, and I complied, since our points of contact since September were professional and very minimal, thankfully. He picked me up from my residence in Oval with his government vehicle at around 1900 hours, and makes an excuse to go to his residence, Cummings Lodge, to retrieve something. I have my radar up, but I didn't think much of it. When we arrived at the location, it was gated and guarded, so I had to accompany him into the house. To my dismay, it seemed like something really bad had gone on there, and it was not in a habitable state. He apologizes to the state and says to come with him to some room, which was the bedroom. Now, like deja vu, he starts to proclaim that he wants my pussy and wants his way with me because he didn't get to do it last time. I know that what Dharamlall was capable of, and the manipulation started again. And I was in the same position as before. I felt stupid, and I noticed Dharamlall was being very aggressive and took my pants off after just asking me to sit on the bed. He wanted me to spread eagle and start to take out his penis. I don't remember seeing a condom or even seeing what his genitals look like. I immediately yelled that I'm not going to be raped and that I'm leaving. He gets angry and his mood changed. He put his pants back on and his belt, then reached under a dirty pillow to retrieve a Glock once more. I stood my ground and asked him if he had a problem with people telling him no, to which he had no response. We quickly exited the house, got into his vehicle, and I directed him to my friend's house instead of taking me home, because I'm still shaken up from a second sexual encounter and ambushed by this man. My friend was Paul Amstrue, who I unloaded my horrid experience to. I deleted Dharamlall's number swiftly and was never in contact with him again. I unequivocally state that Nigel Dharamlall sexually violated me and performed non-consensual oral sex and finger penetration on me, and that he attempted to insert his penis in me on a second occasion during my employment and hiatus as an economic consultant at the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development. Ms. Kramer Rupnarai, the permanent secretary for the ministry, became aware of my experience with molestation via email in September of 2021, after which I was finally paid my salary. My rape report against Mr. Nigel Dharamlall was made on May 9th, 2024, at the Cove and John police station. I also have cyberbullying charges made against him on May 8th, 2024, at Ferndam police station and the Criminal Investigation Department over vile remarks, homophobia, and untruths of an inflammatory nature that were said via live video feeds and public posts on Facebook. So that is the end. I'm not hearing you at all.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Right. Travis Chase, 19 News. Sarah, I'm sorry that you had to experience that, but I just have two questions. I don't want to bombard you with questions. I want to leave that if the matter reaches the court. One, you said that when you went to Alexander State House, there was a gentleman there seated in the living room. If you see that gentleman today, you could recognize him.
No, I cannot. He had his face down and he was eating. He did not look up to me. He did not even make eye contact.
Very well. And how confident are you that, how much trust do you have in the police to deal with this matter? Those are just my two questions.
None. They were scared to take my report. I don't have any confidence in them whatsoever.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you for your questions.
Hi, Mark Benchop here. Yep, sorry about that. Benchop here. Sorry about your ordeal. I noticed that even just prior to this broadcast that some of the PPP folks have begun with the victim shaming game, and which is very sad. But what is your take on some folks who may say, well, and again, I do hope it's a fair question, that why now? Because oftentimes that's the question, and it sometimes is maybe an unfair question, but why now? Just curious.
Why is there no statute of limitations on sexual abuse? Why is it that when someone gets raped 50 years ago, there is no statute of limitations? This thing happened to me 4 years ago. It didn't happen to me 4 years ago in my head. I get nightmares about this thing. Trauma is something that is so bizarre. Things that never used to affect me when it happened started to affect me later on in life. I started to get nightmares. I have simple PTSD because of this. This thing started to haunt me when I tried to let it go. And I had no faith in the police. I was trying to get the media to come be on my side. Things were getting pushed aside because no one believed me. That was happening. And then when the victim shaming thing happened unprovoked, that completely threw me off. And that is when I started to get really depressed, really angry. The rage that I thought left suddenly came back like it never left. And it was 4 years ago, but like I said, in my head, it's still affecting me. The mind and the body are two things that are very separate. My mind was in denial for a very long time. People gaslit me. Let me tell you something. People used to tell me that this thing never happened to me. Can you imagine? My own family, people would say, let it go, let it go. It got to a point where I didn't even believe I was raped. Do you know what that did to my psyche? Do you know how mentally frayed I became? It's as though this head and this body suddenly didn't know who Sarah was anymore. I've attempted suicide so many times. I've been seeing shrinks. I decided to try to forgive, but there are some things only God can forgive. I know that for sure, because I cannot let this go. I needed a smoking gun to make a report, because I know when you make a report, the burden of proof is on me. And I'm going against Dharamlall, and I already saw what happened to the indigenous victim. I already saw what happened to her. I've seen what happened to other people before. This man was pardoned at the highest level multiple times. So I knew I was going up against something that was dangerous. And my whole strategy was that if I made a report that was preemptive and it didn't go anywhere, I automatically had no credibility. I was gonna get shunned. So I needed everything to be solid. I needed evidence. I needed to make sure that what I was accusing him of was something that he could be criminally charged for. Kaiser News leaked my statement. When they leaked it, they said some things I did not want to be out. The next day, I saw that Priya Manichan said that non-consensual oral sex is not rape. And that discouraged me, because how am I going to make a rape report against a minister when it's not even rape? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, sorry about that. Yes, it does answer my question, and I really do appreciate. And if you may, and I know how difficult, I can just imagine how difficult this is for you, especially living in such a society as Guyana. But there are some folks who may jump to say, "Oh, this might be political." How would you respond to that? Even though, of course, I'm not saying that it is political, mind you, but you know how some folks are.
Yeah. This is personal. This man violated me. I don't care about the politics. I've been in the public sector, been there, done that. It's not political when it has damaged the relationship that I have with my own family. It's damaged the relationship that I have with even jobs. My whole reputation was just this girl who supposedly was raped. People who even knew me since I was young, from school, said that this was fake, that I was doing it to get money, for attention, stuff like that.
Dennis
Okay. Go ahead, Dennis. I'll ask after you.
Yeah, Dennis Shamal Williams. Ma'am, so far, what has the police told you?
They just said that they're gonna seek legal advice, and that was it.
And have they told you when to return?
No, sir. They kept directing me to one officer, then to another, then to another, and then to another. Took me 2 days to make one report. They did not want to take my report because they said they don't want to. They've never dealt with this in their entire lives. They don't want to do it.
And
Can you imagine that? Can you imagine the police not wanting to take a rape report from you?
What stations you went to, in addition to CID headquarters?
Suriname was where I went initially, and then they directed me to CID, telling me CID was going to take the rape report. And then CID was like, no, we don't do that. An inspector called me to go to Cove and John the next day, and then that's when the rape report got taken.
Ms. Hack, one quick question. You're an adult, of course. You're now public with this information. You don't have any qualms whatsoever with us, using an insert from you, not with ruling parts of your deal, but were you talking about the police report? You don't have any problem with media personalities using an insert from this recording for the purposes of the news.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Thank you.
What else was like why news? You said that you were trying to get some media houses on your side. Could you say which media houses you made contact with and what was the response from them?
One of it that was very disheartening was Sabrick News. I made a report. I went fully in, I met with the journalist, told her everything from start to finish. And this was in November, not last year, the year before. And it was around CPL. So I made the report and she gave Nigel Dharamlall, I think 2 or 3 weeks to make a statement about what I had alleged. And this is when CPL was happening. During that entire time, I just saw photo ops with Nigel Dharamlall and Vice President Brad Jagjo. He was just doing photo ops. And I knew the man knew that there was a rape case against him. And I even outed him about corruption in that report. I was told when to expect the story to go live. It was supposed to be in a Sunday paper. I went to go buy that Sunday paper, skimmed that entire newspaper, and it was never there. I had to call the journalist to ask her what happened. She didn't really give me a response as to why she pulled the story all of a sudden, and she directed me to other organizations. Red Thread was one of them. But I decided not to do anything because that kind of scared me into thinking who else are gonna get dissuaded from actually putting my story out there. Because the journalist was even like, Sarah, how come you haven't gotten justice? You know, you're this person who's actually had these things happen to her. You've been working for this man. How come you haven't had justice? And in my head, I'm like, how come you just suddenly pull the story? Like, what is the
So did you sorry, go ahead.
Okay, members of the media,
No,
we will entertain one more question.
No, I just
Sorry, it's Tara from CNN. Thank you
Hi,
so
Tara.
much for your brave testimony. This is, public testimony of rape cases like this are incredibly rare. I don't think I've ever seen something like this before. So I'd really like to know, I have 2 questions. Why do you feel so compelled to do it now? And like my second question is, how do you feel seeing your alleged rapist? I think he is now on I don't know the terminology, but he's on the ruling party's committee. I think he was recently elected. So I'd like to hear your response.
Sorry, your first question was why I wanted to do this now, right?
Yeah.
The reason why I'm making this so public, Tara, is because I know personally there are scores of victims, and these victims are not adults, they're children. They are not allowed to, their parents, God knows what else, they're not allowed to voice their opinions. A lot of them have been silenced. A lot of them have had abortions. A lot of them have been physically abused, in addition to being sexually abused. People are scared of retaliation. They're scared of whatever kind of judicial kickbacks you're going to have. The reason I'm making it so public is because I need to give people strength. I need to give victims the strength to know that they're not alone and that there's no shame in what happened to them. They need to reclaim their narrative and stay true to themselves and stay true to the truth, because your dignity comes and goes, money comes and goes, but the truth always remains the same. And it's just so sad that we have women here in power who have made these women shells of themselves, these girls. It's just like they just have no empathy for for victims, much less like women. I need people to know I'm making this public. I am making this this is compromising towards me. This is stuff I don't even want necessarily to be out there, but I'm putting it out there to let victims know they're not alone and that you could do this and be okay. There are ways to go about this, and I feel like we haven't had this yet. No victim was willing to actually put their name out there. People have aliases. They're trying to hide identities. I'm going foot to the pedal. I don't care. I was wronged. I know what happened to me. No one's going to tell me nothing happened. No one's going to tell me that wasn't a crime. And I need all the victims to know that. I need people to come together. The hundreds of people I know that have made reports against this man need to come forward. And the second question, the fact that he is still on that party is mind-boggling to me. Not just to me, to everybody else. It's something that I cannot make sense of. It is like the only reaction to insanity is an insane reaction. And it just makes me wonder, like, is there a conspiracy here? Is there something else going on? Are they protecting Nigel because he is hiding secrets for them? What is going on? I've always been somebody who's very bold, someone who is not, I'm a very sex positive person. And I don't think that you need, just because you've been sexually abused or you've had maybe abortions. I know people have had abortions because of this man. Your life is not over. There's always going to be light at the end of the tunnel once you stay true to yourself. And this country needs to have accountability on so many levels that we've never had before. And this man, Nigel, was being accused of rape for years now by adults, I think even by law enforcement, I believe. And he was getting pardoned. No one believed him. People were saying, oh, I've heard from so many people, Nigel is such a good man. I never saw that. The man raped me. And every single person's testimony that I saw, it was the same thing. It was as though this man had a pattern that he would go with the Glock, with everything else. Ugh. It really, 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 really triggered me. And I'm doing this not just for myself. I'm doing this for the greater good. I'm doing this to change the country. The culture in this country needs to change. People need to start standing up and realize that people in power are stripping us of our rights to the point of gaslighting, to the point of victim shaming. And I'm putting my face out here because I don't want anything to be ambiguous. I need everything to be straight from me, from the source. That answers
Ms. Hart, before you go, a lot of people have asked you why no. You ever thought of taking this information to the opposition sometime before? They would have probably ran with it. And my last question.
I have.
My last question before you go. Have you ever been treated for any depression or mental illness before this incident?
Yes.
The first question.
When I was
Sorry, go ahead.
I was diagnosed as bipolar when I was 19. And eventually it progressed into something more.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me take this opportunity to thank you.
Yeah. Can I have a final question, please, if you may?
She didn't answer my first question.
I'm sorry, go ahead with the first question.
Go ahead.
I'm saying, what did you think? Well, you said you weren't getting anywhere with the media. Have you? And Mr. Dharamlall is a politically affiliated man. Have you taken this story to the opposition, or have you thought about that before now?
I did.
What was the response from them?
They were supportive. It was just the burden of proof was what the issue was.
Okay.
That was literally the issue.
Sarah.
And we tried doing protests before, and nothing came of it. Protests were done by the opposition, and we were actually told by the DPP to not protest.
The DPP?
So there were a lot of avenues that I took and a lot of blockades. That's what happened. And timing is everything. People are saying, why now? Why not now?
Hi, Sarah. If I may bench up here a final question, am I permitted? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you for your bravery, Sarah. My question has to do with, how do you feel? Maybe you touched on it briefly, but how do you feel with the party that is in office right now protecting this individual. And we have seen cases where they have protected another individual accused of molestation of little boys, allegations that is, that's being protected. And in light of what the Minister of Education said about rape victims, how do you feel when you see these statements or read these statements, and to see the manner in which senior members of the government are out in public protecting individuals within the party, whether it's Nigel Dharamlall or whomever, whether it's a Kwame, allegations leveled against them of sexual misconducts?
Angry, nothing but rage, nothing but absolute rage. And I lost a lot of faith in the women, especially the men. I was very surprised at the fact that people just took themselves out of the situation. It made me really think that there is something else going on here that we don't know about. Why would you be protecting rapists? Why? What is the end game there? It didn't make any sense to me. I met with Dr. Irfan Ali. When I met with him, Nigel Dharamlall was walking out of State House. I don't know if that was an ambush, but I always thought it was. I always thought they wanted me and him to be in one room so they could de-escalate that situation. Thankfully, we were never in the same room, but it makes me, it reminds me of that Jeffrey Epstein thing. That is what this is the vibe the party is giving me. I have no respect for these people. I don't think they're fit to lead in any capacity. They have no respect for themselves. They are doing the dirtiest of the dirt to people here, to women especially, and to little boys, to children. It's atrocious. It's something that these people need to go to prison. This is something that you need to put people in prison for. And it's something that is ingrained in the culture here. It's something cultural, and I can't make sense out of it. I mean, I've been the victim of it, and what they're doing it's so crazy. That look at where I'm at right now. Like, even Tara said, this has never happened before. It's like, what else am I supposed to do? They have gone above and beyond to make this thing seem like it never happened. The gaslighting is insane, incredibly insane. So the only reaction to that craziness is for me to come and be in their faces telling them, no, I know what happened. And you know what happened to me. And yet you're doing this. They're trying to intimidate. They don't know that they cannot intimidate me. They don't know that, because I've been shamed, I've been scorned, and I need vindication, not first to me, but for victims, for these children. And my heart breaks for them. I have nieces. I just have a heart. I'm sorry, but that's just how it is. The Minister of Education, she met with me when I was in high school. Like, good grief. She's the one who's literally saying things like, oh, that is rape, that isn't rape. Children should always be protected. And yet she was there with Dharamlall. Like, yet these women are there. Like, what? It's something I cannot make sense of. I'm literally rambling, but it's crazy. And this is the start of something that I don't know what it is, but I just hope we can do better. I really just hope we can do better. This is crazy. That's all I'm going to say.
Thank you very much, sir, for your bravery. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending. And we will keep you informed through your email, and we let the chips fall where they may. Thanks, Sarah. Have a great day.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much for your questions.
Recording stopped.